right in the heart.
Buffy's lost her strength.
Give you a hand with that, little lady?
Now she must endure a Slayer's rite of passage. Her powers are gone.
Somebody please help me!
But the danger remains. An all-new Buffy.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I am Jeremy.
And I am your other host, James.
And this week we will be doing a triple axle into Season 3, Episode 12, Helpless.
Yes, a triple axle followed by a pirouette.
And let us not forget about Jocelyn Hua Humbache.
Homboche.
Hello, everyone. How are you? It's good to be back. Wow, James. Wow. What a vacay. How was your vacay?
That has been, well, first, let me say thank you for all the returning listeners. We hope you missed us because we missed you. It has been a wild 2 weeks. It has been a wild.
Off the fucking rails. You
Man.
have been C2E2.
I've been to C2E2.
But
which
you will not discuss it.
We will not discuss it.
You are under an NDA.
Right.
Until next week.
Until next week. It might be lifted by next week. I have to
talk to the lawyers.
I'll have to talk to the lawyers and look at the fine print. But I think the NDA is null and void after next week.
Right.
At which point I will be able to discuss C2E2 with you.
All right. Well, let's get back into the saddle here. It's been a long time since we've recorded.
Man, I kind of like had to give myself a little refresher course.
Right? Because I can't even hardly remember how to operate the mixer or anything.
Right. Like I had to find my headset because I was like, where did it go? In these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I couldn't find my mic and my boom arm. They were in my ass. That's where I store things when not in use.
This is not off to a good start already.
Large furniture, boom arms, whatever.
Anyway. Is that where my lazy boy went?
Might be. So, what's going on? Where should we begin, James?
How about if we begin by covering or revisiting, as it may be. No, stop it.
I'm sorry.
Let's try and take this one seriously, okay?
Okay.
Because this is so. Before we get into it, I will say, spoiler alert. I really like this episode.
Okay.
How do you feel about it? Give me a little taste of what I'm gonna get.
I'll give you. I'll moisten your palate. I found it delicious.
Okay. Yeah, I really like this episode. Not that means we couldn't or wouldn't or won't go off the rails during our review of it, but I do feel like we tend to keep it more focused on episodes that we really enjoy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway,
by and large,
yes. So why don't we start by revisiting Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 12, our 46th episode of the series overall, Helpless. Where did I go? There I am. Our episode director this week is James A. Contner, and our episode credited writer is David Fury. Our original air date was January 19th, 1999 on the now defunct WB network. Our Nielsen rating upon original airing was 4.6 million households, giving it the 85th rank out of 125 original network primetime shows that aired that week, and second out of the 15 original shows airing on the WB that week. Our regular cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brennan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia, David Boreanaz as Angel, Seth Green as Oz, and Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. Our guest stars this week include... Sorry, I lost it again.
I thought you had a stroke.
Our guest stars this week include, once again, this is like a record streak for her, Christine Sutherland as Joyce, Jeff Kober as Zachary Kralik, Harris Yulin as Quentin Travers, Dominic Keating as Blair, and David Hayden Jones as Hobson. Our episode synopsis this week reads, after being sapped of her strength, Buffy's mettle is tested by a mighty vampire foe in a grim rite of passage on her 18th birthday.
Okay, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Mine is, as her birthday approaches, Buffy loses her Slayer powers and must do battle with a vampire who is not only extremely powerful, but also quite mad. Mad as in crazy.
Crazy.
Not mad as in, damn, you stole my bicycle.
Right. No, why did you? I don't know. I lost it. Sorry.
Okay. Alrighty then. Take us into the cold open, James.
We start our episode off and we see that Angel and Buffy are sparring in the mansion, and she pins him and stakes him with a loaf of French bread.
There's that again. What is happening? How does this even happen every time? So weird.
It's gone. What the?
So fucking weird.
I don't know what it is, but every time that plays, I feel like somewhere, someone is helping the hopeless.
That's profound, bro.
Thank you. So where was I? Angel is him. She pins him and straddles him and stakes him with a loaf of French bread. And then, of course, there is uncomfortable sexual tension.
Well, the loaf of French bread, we know what that's representative of.
It was supposed to be a steak.
Oh. Okay. I thought it was a giant cock.
Oh, my God.
Okay, go ahead.
Angel asks if he's going to see her this weekend, but says, she's probably got plans because it is her birthday, as was mentioned in our previous episode, was coming up. She teases him a little bit, says that she does in fact have a date. It's with an older man, very handsome. Likes it when she calls him daddy, and Angel laughs and he's like, your father, and then he's like, it is your father, right?
And she's like, no, it's a client.
She's like, no, it's Giles. Stop it. She confirms that it is with her father. They have a yearly tradition of going to the ice show on her birthday, which is funny because last year on her birthday, where the fuck was that ever mentioned or seen as being something that happens
on her birthday?
Exactly.
But it is a yearly tradition.
It is a yearly tradition.
Don't you forget it.
Don't forget it. We cut to later that night at the library, and Giles is quizzing Buffy as to the use of various stones and crystals, and he's disappointed at her nonchalant attitude towards the study of the crystals. She says that she's just anxious to patrol since Faith is on one of her unannounced walkabouts, right? That's what she says.
Yep.
But in actuality, it seems like she's probably still got a little bit of that sexual tension from her sparring with Angel back at the mansion. she's fumbling around with one of the crystals, and she says she has energy to burn. Then we cut to even later that night, and she's at the park fighting a vampire, and she appears to get dizzy, and suddenly the vampire has the upper hand. He pins Buffy to the ground and grabs her stake in her hand and turns it around, pointing it at her chest and starting to push it down into her heart. And that is our cold open. I'll take this brief little part after the cold open, since it's kind of the same scene.
Okay.
She ends up headbutting him, and manages to push him off of her, and he goes to attack again, and she flips the stake around as he jumps on top of her, and he dusts. And then we cut to the next day in the library, and what's happening there?
There's fire. No, I'm just kidding. She is throwing knives at a target, and Giles comes in and he's like, "Oh, it's nice to see you, training." However, she's missing everything. Most of them are just bouncing off. She's missing. You hear things breaking as she's hitting, and she's like, "Something is wrong with my powers." And like, she's like, something's wrong. And he seems pretty nonchalant about it. Nothing to worry about. He's like, maybe you've got the flu bug, and probably be fine in a couple of days, no big deal. And she's clearly not buying that. She feels very vulnerable and feels like something is definitely wrong. And my notes are screwy right here. Can you take this up to the courtyard scene, up to the Cordelia courtyard scene? Because my notes, I'm looking at them and they seem very wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we cut then to a building, correct? Just
well, I'll
go ahead.
I'll pick it up here, and you jump in wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah, she's doing the throwing knives. It's not working. Giles says maybe she has the flu. She's like, no, it feels different than that. But also, she's adamant that she can't be getting sick because she has to go, or she really wants to go to the ice show with her papa.
Or Faja.
And she says, maybe I just need more practice. And she throws another knife, and you hear something break off screen, and she's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, all right, done. And he goes, thank you.
John's like, thank you. And then we cut to lunch out in the courtyard, and the Scoobies are all gathered around, and they're talking about the ice show that Buffy and her Faja are going to and go to every year. Willow mentions that she went backstage at Snoopy on Ice when she was little and got so scared that she threw up on Woodstock. And Xander is hoping that they'll still have a party for Buffy, and Buffy's not really down with the idea, kind of reminding everybody about how badly parties in her honor turn out. Monsters crash, people die, I believe is what she says.
Yeah.
Then we cut to the Summers home after school, and there's flowers there on the island in the kitchen, and she gets excited. But it turns out that they are I'm sorry flowers from her father.
Who is once again being a deadbeat dad.
Turns out he can't make the ice show because of work. Buffy's pretty clearly, well, she's actually completely unfazed by it. She really doesn't seem to care much. No, She's
Yeah. I was
she's
like, wait, did we see the same
Yeah.
episode?
no, she's devastated. Um, Joyce, to Joyce's credit, she says, "I can find someone to fill in for me at the gallery, and I can take you to the ice show if you want to go with
Because
me."
my job at the gallery, it's very, very busy and important. But I might be able to find someone to fill in for me.
But Buffy nonetheless turns her down.
She's like, no,
And
good. No one wants to hang out with you, Mom. No one.
Then we cut to the Sunnydale Arms boarding house, which is clearly abandoned. And we see three men. Two of them are doing random things around the place, including bricking up windows. The third's an older English guy, and he says, what's he say? The Slayer's preparation is nearly complete. And they all proceed to deadeye a large human-sized padlocked crate.
Yeah. That actually has a small parrot inside of it.
Right. The sorry. We cut to the next day. And we're in the library again, and Giles has pulled out the crystals for another study session. And Buffy's telling him about the ice show, and she's like, it's just not cartoon characters, but pieces from operas and ballets. And it's obvious she's dropping not subtle hints that she would like him to take her to
Right.
to the ice show, which I was like, oh, Giles is
He's just completely ignoring it.
yeah, like it was a twofold like Buffy's like she wants her like surrogate father figure to do this with her, like like
The man
and
is more of a father to her than her own father has ever been shown to be.
right, and meanwhile like also because he's just completely oblivious to it and like ignoring her.
Yeah.
She says if someone were free, they'd take their daughter or student or their slayer. But again, he's just ignoring her, and he tells her to focus on the flaw at the center of this big blue crystal. He calls it a grounding crystal. And she stares at it, and she seems to fall into some sort of trance, hypnotic state, whatever. And while she's in this daze, he takes a small case out of his briefcase and opens it, and it is a syringe filled with a amber colored liquid, and he proceeds to inject her with it.
And she dies because it's fentanyl.
And then he brings her out of her trance, and they agree that they should call it a night, and she leaves, and Giles looks very guilty.
Yep.
Then we're back the next day at school, and Willow's telling Buffy about the toys she's gotten for Amy the rat, because she's not having.
She still hasn't gotten Amy turned back into a human.
Right, because she is not having any luck turning her back into a human. At that point, they're interrupted by some guy yelling at Cordelia for standing him up at the bronze and making him look stupid in front of his posse. And
Posse.
Cordelia,
I couldn't believe they actually that was a lot.
said that. Cordelia basically is like, I don't know, like what your deal is. Like everyone knows not to take my flirting seriously. She's like, especially in my condition. And he's like, what condition? And she's like, rebound. And he grabs her as she starts to walk away.
Yeah, he gets like super fucking
He gets
aggro.
real. He gets real incel real quick.
Yeah.
And grabs her. At that point, Buffy does the Buffy thing and jumps in and grabs the guy by the arm, but he just shoves her and swats her away and knocks her to the ground like she's a fucking gnat.
Yeah, like the 110-pound thing, that beautiful creature that she is.
And Cordelia proceeds to ask him what his problem is, yell at him, what's your problem, and beats her hands against his chest until he flees from Cordelia. We catch up with Giles in the hall as Buffy runs up to him, telling him what just happened, and she had, telling him she has no strength and no coordination. And Giles, he just kind of brushes it off, telling her that everything will be fine and everything will sort itself out. And then we cut to later, and Giles is at the boarding house with the other English gentleman, who we find out is Quentin. And
Bonds.
it's funny you say that, because literally that's exactly what I thought in my head every time I heard the name Quentin.
I'm Quentin Barnes.
And are you okay to pick it up from there, Jeremy?
No, go ahead.
No? Okay. And we find out that Quentin and the other two gentlemen are members of the Watchers Council.
This is the first time in 3.5 seasons that we have ever seen anyone from the Watchers other than Giles and the former
Gwendolyn,
yeah.
Post, yeah.
Who wasn't really a member anymore.
Right, at that point when we saw her, right? Quentin tells Giles that the Crucimentum is a time-honored rite of passage for the Slayer on her 18th birthday. And Giles insists that it's an archaic exercise in cruelty to lock her in this building, weakened and defenseless, and unleash a monster with her. And Quentin insists that Buffy will be stronger for it. And Giles leaves, and we hear shouting from the other room. And Quentin and the other two men unlock the crate, and we see that there's a vampire in a straitjacket locked in there. And one of them spoon feeds him some pills from a long spoon.
With a really, like, we're talking like a 3-foot long spoon.
So as not to get too close to him. And the other one does the same with a glass of water. And then they lock him back up again, or they close the crate up again. I should mention that this is Blair and Hobson, our other two Watchers, and the vampire is Kralik.
Yeah.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. We cut back to the library, and we have Xander and Oz and Willow and Buffy researching info on Slayer curses. Xander says maybe they shouldn't be looking for curses, but more something along the lines of Slayer kryptonite. Oz says it's not really a good comparison because kryptonite kills Superman, not weakens him. And then they proceed to have a small nerd debate about the effects of various colors of kryptonite. Nerd note, none of which they get right.
Yeah, I
know. Willow asks Buffy what she's going to do if she doesn't get her powers back.
Willow's like, I don't know, be a normal fucking person. I don't have powers. God.
And they're about to list the positives when Giles walks in, and Buffy asks him if he's found out anything yet, and he dismisses her, saying he hasn't found anything out. We cut back to the Sunnydale Arms, and Blair and Hobson switch shifts as Kralik starts screaming from his crate again. Blair opens the crate and goes to get water for Kralik's pills, and we see that Kralik has managed to tear the seams of his straitjacket. And when Blair tries to get him to take the pills from the long spoon, Kralik says he can't reach them, so Blair moves closer, and Kralik reaches out and grabs Blair by the neck and starts to choke him.
And Blair's like, "Oh, Daddy."
Yeah, Blair's like, "Daddy." You get too much of a kick out of it when I do that. There's something wrong with you, son.
It's very funny.
Later at the mansion, Angel
This
gives
shitty mansion again.
right.
I want to know who the fuck is staying in his dope ass apartment.
And this is the scene I was talking about too. Like Angel gives Buffy this birthday present, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden, it's so funny that you mentioned it when you did, because I'm watching this scene and like literally all of a sudden, all I can think about is like, why is Angel still at this mansion? Why isn't he back at his dope apartment underground? Like, what the hell?
That's totally safe, totally fucking free, has everything anyone could ever want in it.
Right.
He's underground, so he has access to anywhere in Sunnydale without ever even having to show his face.
Right.
I'm like, brah.
So Angel gives Buffy her birthday present. It's a book of poetry. He asked her if she likes it, and she says she does.
She's like, I'm not into that kind of shit.
And he says, then why did you look more excited last year when you got a severed arm in a box?
Yeah, which he sent her when he was evil.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, I'm a sick and twisted person.
She says she's just freaked out by the possibility of not having her powers, and she's worried that she's seen too much. Without her powers, she might just hide helpless and become pathetic, telling stories of, her golden days as the Slayer. And Angel tells her she could never be helpless or boring, and Buffy argues that, before she was the Slayer, she was even more shallow than Cordelia. And she asks Angel what she has to offer if she's not the Slayer. Like, why would he even like her? And he finally admits to her that he stalked her when she was fucking 15.
Yeah, and he was 203.
He admits that he saw her before she became the Slayer, the day she was called, and that he loved her right away. And I was like, oh, now it's creepy for some reason. It wasn't before, but now it is.
It was before, because they showed him standing outside of her school, like in the bushes, watching, and he was clearly fucking palming his dick. And so, yeah, it was creepy before. Now it's even more creepy that he admitted it.
We cut back to Kralik at the Sunnydale Arms, and he's licking his fingers clean like he just...
We're not making that up.
We're not making that up. He's licking his fingers clean like he just downed some KFC.
Yep.
And humming a jaunty little tune, if I do say so myself. Yep. And we see...
I think it's Frere Jacques.
We see that he murdered Blair, and but as Blair's laying there, he turns into a vampire and wakes up and proceeds to release Kralik from his crate. Kralik complains that he can't get the tune out of his head, and he takes his pills, and then he tells Blair it's a game, and we're not going to play by their rules, but we're going to play. And he tells Blair to call his friend to come into the room, and they'll discuss it over dinner.
Yeah, which let me stop here. I don't understand, why didn't he just turn that guy into one too, so that he would have another goon?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It seemed like a strategically missed, a missed opportunity.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Saying.
Um,
I'm gonna let you basically handle this episode.
We cut to later, and Giles walks into the boarding house. He's looking for Quentin. He doesn't get any answers, so he proceeds further in. He's looking around and accidentally touches some blood on the stair rail. And,
Was it blood?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was semen.
Oh my god.
I thought he walked in on a former gangbang location. And he's like, "Oh God!" And then he has to run and put his hand under fucking battery acid because he's so grossed out. But then he goes,
So he spots the box, and he starts to head towards the crate, and he breaks a piece of wood off of the stairwell.
Yeah, which was pretty dope, dude.
It was pretty fucking awesome.
He just fucking drilled it and just snapped this thing off, and he's like, "I'm staking whatever the fuck I find."
Yeah,
and
I was like, "Damn, Giles!" He broke it off, and he broke it off, and I was like, "Daddy."
Yeah, I figured you got a little bit of THO on that.
He opens the crate and he sees it's empty.
No, the parrot was there. And it goes, fuck you.
And then Giles just jams the wooden stake right into the fucking parrot's face. And then Giles is like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah, fuck you, mate.
So Giles keeps looking around, and he opens a door and finds the murdered and mutilated Hobbs, and he proceeds to run out of the Sunnydale Arms.
And he is screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
Like he has never witnessed anything of this magnitude.
Right. No, he's not screaming.
And he's running like a girl. He's like, ah!
We cut to Buffy, and she's walking home when a construction worker asks her for a lap dance. I'm not even kidding, folks. That is not.
That's not a joke.
That is not one of our
He says that instead of being like, "Hey, sexy lady," or "Hey, some other thing." How about a lap dance?
Yeah.
That's not even what? We're not in a strip club. What?
Right.
It'd have been even better if when he said, "Hey," because he goes, "Hey, how much for a lap dance for me and my buddy?" And it'd been hilarious if she'd turn around and been like $200. And they were like, "Fuck, we don't have that much."
Right.
And
If
she's
she
like,
was
"Go fuck yourself."
Right. If she was just like, "Well, if I can't be the Slayer, I guess this is it now."
Yes, this is what I got to offer.
Following mom into the family business.
That's right. I mean, fuck. Can't beat them, join them. Meanwhile, because this is outside, by the way.
Right.
And meanwhile, down the street, you see Giles come running, still screaming.
If you can't beat them, join them, and if you join them, beat them off. But because she doesn't have her Slayer strength, she ignores the construction worker. And she hears a man humming. She turns and kind of pretty much walks right into Kralik. He grabs her, but she gets away. But he go ahead.
He gets her jacket.
Yeah. As I say, but he manages to keep a hold of her jacket.
Yeah. But she immediately. Did you see? This isn't me, but making this up. But he puts it up to his face immediately, and he's like, "Did you see?" I was like, "Whoa, that's an odd acting choice. Like, I don't know.
Well,
It just
it
seems
wa-
pretty weird to me.
it was, but it wasn't, like, because spoiler alert, we do find out that before this guy was a vampire, he like
Was a legit psycho.
yeah, he stalked and murdered. I forget how many women Giles said.
Oh shit, I do too.
I might have it in. I
What did
might
it say,
have it
a
in my
dozen or
notes.
several dozen or something like
Something like
that.
that. Yeah. So this guy was bad news before he was a vampire, even.
Yeah.
Which, like, I kind of wanted to touch on that, but we can do it now. Think about that. Like, if so, being turned into a vampire made someone like Angel into Angelus. And now, granted, he wasn't like, you know, the best of the best before he was a vampire, but at most he was a lazy womanizer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But also, we also don't know Angel's real name yet, do we?
Liam, yeah, we don't know that it's. Oh shit! Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think we get that until the Angels series.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. His real
Wait a minute. I feel like someone has said it, but there was never any context given to it, and you're like, wait, what? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
But like, even before Liam was turned into a vampire, like, yeah, he wasn't the best person out there, but he wasn't much more than a lazy womanizer.
Yeah.
And then when he was turned into a vampire, he became Angelus. So
What
now
do you
imagine.
think his last name was?
I don't know.
Liam O'Shaughnessy.
Liam O'Shaughnessy. What a
bad joke.
So now, like, imagine what someone like this guy, Kralik, who's already like the worst of the worst as a human.
Yeah.
Imagine what he's like as a vampire now.
Dude,
like,
imagine Mr. Rogers gets turned into a vampire. Like, what would that be? Is he so good that like he would like not change at all?
that's a good question. I'm
'Cause, I mean-
Googling what if Mr. Rogers was a vampire right now.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Where was I? Buffy runs into the street calling for help, and Giles happens to be driving by, and
he's fleeing from that.
Right.
That
from the Sunnydale Arms.
Yeah.
He opens the door for her, and she jumps in, barely escaping Vampire Blair.
It would have been even funnier if he didn't see her and he just fucking ran her over.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have her Slayer powers, so like
right.
that would have been like all she wrote.
Right. So we cut to the library, and Buffy's talking about how when she hit Kralik, she felt like her arm broke. It hurt so bad, and like,
Which I don't recall her hitting him.
I didn't either, but
I just remember him grabbing her, and she's like, ah, and she like spins and pulls away out of her jacket, and then he just like, I was like, wait, maybe it was a cut scene and they forgot to adjust the dialogue.
Right.
Because I was like, I don't remember her hitting him.
Oh, sorry.
You should be.
So like, Buffy's clearly like having a hard time dealing with this.
Yeah, man, like she has lost all confidence, all
like, and
looking for it. Like she's very timid and just frightened now.
Right. And like, it's been a slow decline into her current state.
Yeah. Because when she was running away from him, I mean, she was like screaming for her life. And like, someone please help me. Oh my God. And it was just, it's a little jarring to see, Buffy like she had just lost all courage, all everything.
Right. It's at this point that Giles reveals to Buffy what the problem is. He shows her the syringe with the amber fluid, and he tells her it's an organic compound of muscle relaxants and adrenal suppressants. He tells her that the effects are temporary, and she'll be back to herself in a few days.
Which I didn't buy. This is my only complaint about the whole episode. I did not buy this fluid stuff. I'm like, this should have been some type of spell that the Watcher Council had to cast on her because I'm like, she has mythical, basically magical powers. Oh, but if we just give her a little shot of some, muscle relaxants and blah, 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 well, that just knocks, because then I'll be like, well, every fucking villain from here on out just has to make this cocktail and give it to her. And, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
Right.
My only complaint about the whole episode.
He then proceeds to tell her about the test. He says a Slayer is disabled and then trapped with a vampire foe whom she must defeat in order to pass the test. He tells her that Kralix escaped. At that point, Buffy throws the syringe case at him and lays into him. And
I mean, she is like crying.
She's crying.
Yeah.
This scene got to me.
Oh yeah, this is probably one of the most powerful scenes we've ever seen thus far.
This scene broke my heart.
Yep.
And
because it breaks her heart, and you can see it on her. That's how good an actress she is.
I was just gonna say, and it goes back to what we said time and time again. Sarah Michelle Gellar, like she always knocks it out of the park, but she knocks this kind of stuff so far out of the park, it's not even funny. This scene to me is right up there with her telling off Giles and Angel in season 1. The season finale.
Yep.
When she's all like, I'm 16, yeah,
Yep.
It's right up there with
I don't want to die. Yeah.
Right. It's right up there with Becoming Part 2 when she kills Angel.
Yeah. But this scene, I still say this scene is even more. This scene is literally the most powerful scene to me so far in this show, because it's like everything she thought she had in Giles was just taken away.
Right. I agree. I mean, I think it's up there with those other two scenes as far as SMG's acting, but I do agree that from an emotional standpoint, it's probably more powerful than those scenes I mentioned, because we're 3 seasons in now with these characters. We know what their relationship is. We know how she feels about Giles and how Giles feels about her. We just saw a few scenes ago her trying to get him to fill the void, essentially, that her father has left in her life by trying to convince him to go to the ice show with her. And now this. It is utterly devastating. I'm tearing up right now thinking about it.
Yeah, it's great writing. It's flawless acting. It's it's a very emotional scene, and she's just like, I don't even know you. Don't ever touch me again, or I'll kill you.
Yeah,
because he goes to touch her, and I mean,
she
is completely devastated. Isn't even a word. It's beyond that. It's something else entirely.
Right. But yeah, he promises her that he'll do whatever it takes to deal with Kralix and win back her trust. He basically tells her that now that he's told her about the test is like null and void. She's not in any danger anymore. And that's when he tells her he'll do whatever he has to do to take care of Kralik and win her trust back. And he reaches for her, and she's like, "If you touch me, I'll kill you." And even Ash, Anthony Stewart Head in this scene, he is so good in this scene too, because you can tell that he is torn up about what he's put Buffy through.
Oh yeah.
And how he's lost that connection with her now, and he knows he's lost it.
Yep.
It's just so fucking good. And then you fucking throw in Cordelia, who shows up, and she's got her off the cuff flippant remarks. But then as soon as she sees that Buffy is hurting, and Buffy asks Cordelia to give her a ride home, Cordelia instantly softens.
Yeah.
And just says, "Of course."
Mhm.
Like, and
that's the real Cordelia.
right. And the way she softens and the way she says, "Of course," it's like, it's not just "of course." Like, there's so much behind it. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to put into words.
I know.
It really is.
You have to see it to see.
Right.
It goes back to casting, dude. They
Right.
Everybody in this show is exactly who they needed for these
Right.
roles, you know.
But yeah. So Cordelia and Buffy leave, and we come back to Buffy's house, and Joyce, I'm sorry, Jocelyn Kumboke, hears the noise outside, and she
For some reason in this scene she's wearing a beret and she's eating a baguette.
That's weird.
It's very strange.
Yeah. I was about to take it in such a horrible direction, and I physically had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from saying what I was gonna say.
You should have said it. That's what makes our show fantastic, James.
So Joyce skedaddles outside, and she sees what she thinks is Buffy laying there, because there's Buffy's jacket clearly being worn by somebody.
And this scene bothers me, and I want to know if you feel the same way, but go ahead.
So thinking it's Buffy, she, calls out for Buffy and reaches for her, and instead Kralik reveals himself underneath Buffy's coat, and he looks at her and he says, "Mother."
Now, all she had to do
was run the fuck back inside.
Just take 2 steps backwards.
Yeah.
She was literally 2 steps out the door, and the door was still open. So all she had to do was go bloop bloop. Fuck you.
Right.
But somehow he gets her, and
when he called her mother, it probably made her a little moist. And she was a little
Daddy.
She was a little flustered. He was like, "Mother," and she was like, "Daddy."
and then that was it. Yeah, he had her at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And she didn't even charge him.
No, hell no.
For having her.
No, she actually slipped him a 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Buffy gets back home, and she comes in through the kitchen and scoops her flowers right into the garbage.
Yep.
And she walks out into the living room and sees that the front door is open, and taped to the door frame is a Polaroid of Kralik and Joyce, and on the back,
dick.
Of Kralik, Kralik in Joyce and Joyce.
We actually, spoiler alert, we find out, and I'm not making this up, Kralik doesn't have a dick.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
Uh-huh.
How did I miss that?
Dude, I rewound it like 4 times. I keep saying rewind. People think I'm so old. You know what I meant. And I was like, that is what he's saying. But I'll bring it up when we get there. It's
Okay.
actually in the is it the next scene? Like 1 or 2 scenes from now.
Um, Kralik and Joyce. And the back of the Polaroid, it just says "come," COME. Um,
No,
and
CUM.
she
Smiley
and
face.
winky smiley face.
Winky smiley face.
Um, we cut to Buffy in her bedroom, and she's gathering a bunch of weapons,
But then she
uh,
just sits down and takes a nap because she's like, fuck this bitch.
including a bottle of holy water that she slips into her pocket. Puts
Oh,
them all into a big
pocket?
bag. Huh?
She put the holy water in her pocket?
Yeah.
Dude, that scene drove me crazy. Okay, she's got overalls,
Overalls.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So when she grabs the holy water, I thought she put, the bib part?
Uh-huh.
I thought she put it like in the bib part. And I
Oh.
was like, how the fuck is that not gonna fall out like through the pant leg, like fall down through the pant leg? That
Right.
drove me crazy.
No, she put it in the pocket.
Oh my god, that drove me nuts. But I was just like, fuck it, whatever. So it was her pocket. Okay, okay. It
Um,
looked just like she like pulled the bib up a little bit and like just put the bottle. I was like, why would you have her do that? Okay.
so yeah, she loads up this big bag full of weapons, and then here's another. It's a small thing, but it's so good.
Hmm.
She
Yep.
struggles
Struggles to lift
lifting
the
and
bag.
carrying the bag.
Yep. It's like
It
a real girl of her size and strength trying to carry a bag full of what metal and
heavy weaponry. Yes.
yeah, yep.
And like it's a small thing, but it makes such an impact because
Yep.
like you said, is kind of like seeing Buffy afraid or running from a vampire. Like to see our heroine struggle like this,
Yeah.
it gets to you a little bit because
Yeah.
you're not right, you're not used to seeing it, and you don't like seeing it because she's the slayer, she's supposed to be strong.
But at this point, she has made the decision, strength or no strength, Slayer powers or no Slayer powers. This motherfucker has my mom, and I'm going in alone, and I'm getting my fucking mom.
Oh yeah.
So you're like, fuck yeah, dude. She's still who she is. She's
Right.
realized who she is, powers or no.
Right. She's still the consummate hero.
Right.
You
Which is,
know.
I love it.
Oh yeah, I Buffy or regardless, I always like scenarios that put, especially if your main character is someone with powers.
Yeah.
Like I like situations where your main hero is depowered, for lack of a better term, but they still figure out a way to be the hero. They
Yeah.
still make that choice to to be who they are regardless of not having those powers,
Right.
you know, which is
Like
actually which is actually
when Joyce
something.
lost her hooer powers, she still found a way to be the best hooer
Right.
in Sunnydale.
Right. um which actually, like, that theme is something we will see again um on Angel.
We see it in different ways. We'll see it a few more times,
Right.
and not in such straight up way. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We'll get there.
Right.
But,
um
and I'm with you. I like when they do that. Matter of fact, not to go off the rails, but I hated that was the one problem with, in my opinion, the second Christopher Reeve Superman movie. When he gets depowered, they don't really show him still be the hero.
right.
They show him, no, then he's on a journey to try to get his powers back.
Right.
It's like,
Because
I
he gets
can't
because he gets
be a hero without my powers,
right, because he gets beat up by the
He
trucker.
gets housed by a trucker,
Right.
and then he's like, yeah, I'm going back to Fortress of Solitude. I'm going to get my
my superpowers.
I can't be a hero without my power. Yeah,
Pussy.
yeah, fucking bitch.
Fucking
That's fucking dead. Wait, what? Did I say that again out loud?
Wow.
Wow. No, actually,
Wow.
in all seriousness, I loved Christopher Reeves and
Such a good actor.
loved his Superman movies, even though that one I think had had that flaw in it. But anyway,
Have you seen the Donner cut of
oh
Superman
yeah,
2?
oh
The
yeah,
Donner cut is so much better.
oh
so
so much
superior.
better. Oh yeah.
Um,
I even liked this stupid part 4, with the fucking nuclear man.
yeah, it had its moment.
Because it's like he will always be Superman to me.
Right. But I 100% agree. Donner cut or Lester cut. There should have been like that scene where he gets housed by the trucker should not have led to Clark wanting to regain his powers. It should have been more of it should have just what's the best way? It should have made Clark want to fight more without his, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it should have made him go and join a jiu-jitsu gym. And because it's like, okay, you lost your powers, but you don't even know how to like basic fighting. Like you
Right. What I'm saying is, so Clark gets housed by the truck driver, and he doesn't even try to put up a fight after that.
Yeah.
When in actuality, Clark depowered, like a comic accurate Clark would have gotten housed, and would have got up and gone back for more.
Yeah.
Because that's who Clark is.
Yeah.
Powers or not. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Powers or not.
Right. So I do agree that's a little egregious, and whether it's the Donner cut or the Lester cut of Superman 2. Anyway, we've gone off track.
Way off the rails. But just one final thing: Christopher Reeves is Superman, and Michael Keaton is Batman. The end.
Well, I mean, I love the Reeves Superman movies. Reeves is a fine actor outside of the Superman movies.
Oh yeah.
But I think Henry Cavill got the short end of the stick. I think he would have been.
I didn't like him from Jump Street. I like him. I don't mean that. I mean I didn't like him as Superman from the word go.
I think he would have been a great Superman if he had anyone other than Zack Snyder be doing that movie.
I didn't like the bulk he put on for that role. There was a lot of I hated the suit. Oh God, I hated the suit. So anyway, so we're way the fuck off here.
Then we cut back to the Sunnydale Arms, and Kralik has Joyce all tied up.
Here's the scene where you go ahead though, but I'll tell you.
He's taking more pictures of her and telling her about his own mom, who he killed and ate. And
there's where you missed it, because it was before he said that he had eaten her. He said, that she used to do these things to him, or all these messed up things to him. And she said, and then one time she had the scissors, and boy, you wouldn't believe what she did with those. Like, cut his ween off.
Are you sure you're not just reading into it?
No. What? Please, seriously, watch that little part again, and you will the same exact thing. How does he say it? Not you wouldn't believe where she used those. That's what he says. And I was like, oh. So she either snipped off his balls or snipped off the wang.
So Kralik tells Joyce that he won't kill Buffy. He'll just make her like him. And that when she wakes up, Joyce will be the first thing she eats. Or Joyce's face will be the first thing Buffy eats.
Like, wait, what? When did that become a thing?
Then we see Buffy come into the boarding house, and she props the door open with a stake. And she goes through another door, but it's all...
Prime rib steak, you mean?
She goes through another door, but it's all bricked up because Buffy's fine. I was waiting for a reaction.
Nope. I'm not getting any reactions to my reaction, so I'm just.
Behind her, We see Blair pull the stake and quietly shut the door. We cut to Giles at the library, and Quentin shows up. Giles
Bonds.
Giles confesses to Quentin that he told Buffy about the test, and Quentin's like, haha, fuck you. Buffy's already at the boarding house engaged in the test. And Giles is like, well, haha, fuck you right back. And he takes off to the boarding house.
I thought he was going to hit him, dude. I kept waiting. This whole
I did
episode,
too.
I kept waiting for Giles to just house this old fucking prick.
Yeah, because in this scene, like he does after Quentin is like, she's already entered the field of play 10 minutes ago. Like Giles grabs him and like pushes him up against the door, and I was like, "Ooh, he's gonna hit him!"
I was like, Hercules,
Ripper. But nope. We cut back to the boarding house. Buffy's got her crossbow out. She discovers that the door's been locked by Blair. Blair attacks her. She does try to shoot him with the crossbow, but of course she misses because.
And again, I'm like, okay, so she loses her Slayer powers, so now she's a horrible aim. She can't even point the pointy thing towards the person and then pull the trigger. I'm like, come on, but I'll let it go. Good episode, so I'll let it go. But yeah, she shoots it, and he doesn't even like dodge. It just
misses.
Way past, and he's just like, really? Like a monkey could probably have hit me with that.
Blair attacks her. She gets away and manages to push a bookcase on top of him and knocks him out with a some sort of, I think it's a fireplace poker.
Yeah, and man, she just starts wailing on him, and yeah. I'm like, okay, she's getting out some aggression and some frustration because she just beats the fucking brakes off him. I liked it.
But also, while she's doing that, like, I couldn't help myself watching it. Like, they kept cutting to Blair, who like had a hold of her ankle, and like her ankle was right there. And every time they would cut to Blair, you would see how close her ankle was to him, and he was holding it. I was like, fucking bite her.
Yeah.
like what the fuck is wrong with you?
Or like, why didn't she just take her other foot and literally just step on his face?
Right.
Yeah, she wails on him with that fire poker.
And we hear Kralik whispering hide and seek as Buffy's moving around, and he jumps out of his crate and grabs Buffy by the neck. She pulls out her cross.
And the parrot's on his shoulder going, fuck you.
She pulls out her cross, and at first he kind of recoils, but then
then he totally does a James, and this fucking killed me. This
does a James like a me?
Because he's like, oh, a little lower. And he's like, oh, thank you. It was hilarious.
I'm
not making that up.
I like how you equated that scene to me.
Oh yes. Oh, that's exactly the first thing I thought of. He grabs the cross and like puts it against himself, and you hear it like sizzling, and he's like, oh yes. Oh, and he's like a little lower, and you hear it sizzling again. And he's like, oh, then he goes, thank you. And I was like, oh my God, it's James. Oh, fuck, it killed me, dude. That scene killed me. I was like, that had to be an outtake that they were just, that's awesome. Keep that.
So after that, Buffy runs away, and she ends up in a room.
Like, the look on her face, she's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going.
I've seen that look many times.
And that's why your closet is full of bone? Bone collector.
Buffy runs away and ends up in a room full of Polaroids of just Joyce.
It's her making funny faces. She's like and Buffy's
giving herself the bunny ears.
Like, wait a minute. Why am I here to save her? It seems like she's actually
she's enjoying herself.
this.
Kralik catches up
And then
to
there's
her.
a few Polaroids of just Kralik's butthole.
Yeah. And then there's a few Polaroids of
you looked at my butthole.
And then there's a few Polaroids of Kralik's butthole and Joyce's tongue.
Oh God! What? No.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't
Yeah.
see those? You didn't see those? They were there, trust me. Buffy runs away. Polaroids full of Joyce. Kralik catches up to her, and what?
The buttholes and tongues.
Buttholes and tongues. Kralik catches up to her, but he's hit with another craving for his pills. This is the only thing that bothered me about the episode.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with the
What
pills?
are these pills? Why does he need them?
Exactly.
He starts like he's in this horrific pain.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I don't know either. I don't know, bro.
Because he's a vampire. Like there's regenerative abilities. Like I don't.
It's got to be psychosomatic is all I can figure.
Yeah.
You know.
So Buffy grabs the pills and runs away. She dives through a laundry chute, and she ends up in a dumpster where there's a Dayoga in there.
Right. Right.
I'm glad you you picked up.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
I was, but had some indigestion there.
I can wait. Go ahead.
It was hard to see that scene for me. It was so fucking dark because when she goes down that chute, I'm like, is she in a basement now? Because Joyce is right there.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, wait, is this still the same building? Like, it's so fucking weird because I'm like, it's like a laundry, I guess, or was it a trash? It was actually a trash chute, I guess.
Yeah. Well, probably laundry or trash.
Laundry or trash, whichever.
One of the two.
Just put your laundry down there with the trash.
Right.
But anyway,
it's probably a laundry chute.
And I'm like, where? I don't know. This whole thing. I'm like, where the fuck is she? She's still in the same building? Because then all of a sudden, he's there. Kralik is there.
Yeah. So yeah, she crashes into. I have it written down that she crashes into the basement, and she sees Joyce tied up. And not too long after that, Kralik literally comes busting through.
Like the wall or something.
No, it's a door. It's a door.
Okay, the scene was so dark.
He comes busting through a door, because the door's on top of a set of stairs.
Yeah.
I
hate these really dark scenes.
He comes down into the basement. He grabs his pills and starts chugging them, and then grabs a nearby glass of water and chugs it. And he starts to bad guy monologue at her, and he suddenly looks like kind of thrown off, and he's like, what did you do? My pills. And Buffy just shows him the empty bottle of holy water, at which point he disintegrates from the inside out.
And it wasn't even holy water. It was her pee.
Oh my God.
She peed in the cup and then had it blessed.
So then it was holy water.
It was holy pee-pee.
I mean, if SMG peed it out, it's holy to me. What?
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
So, God, at least we made it
an hour and 9 minutes
before it really started to get weird.
Yeah.
And he puffs.
I've been trying for an hour and 9 minutes to make it weird.
Make it weird. If you notice, I haven't been looking at you.
Yeah, I know. It ruins the show, James.
Yeah, he poofs from the inside out.
It's not like you said he pooped from the inside out.
Buffy's trying to get Joyce untied, but the ropes are too tight. At that point, Blair and Giles bust in out of, I don't know. I honestly don't know where the fuck they came from.
I didn't know where they were ever since they went down the chute, so I don't know.
And Giles manages to stake Blair. We cut back to the library. Quentin's congratulating Buffy because she passed the test. Of course, Buffy could give two fucks. But he also tells Giles that he was being tested as well, and he's fired on the grounds that he can't be impartial because he has a father's love for Buffy.
He says a father's love for the child, and I was like, the child? This girl would fucking
What is this, the
rip your
Mandalorian?
head off. I was like, this girl will fucking rape you and just get out of here. I hate Travers. We'll see him again, by the way. I think three or four more times.
When I will say, when he told Giles that he had a father's love for the child, I was like, oh,
Joe, but he still wouldn't take her to the ice capades.
Daddy. Quentin makes it pretty clear that Giles is not to interfere with the new Watcher, and he congratulates Buffy again.
Yeah, well, but he says, because Giles is like, fucking fire me if you want. I'm not going anywhere. This is my girl right here, dog.
Right.
And Travers is like, yeah, well, I expected as much, but there'll be a new Watcher coming, and if you interfere in any way or blah blah blah, he's like, you will be dealt with. And I'm like, motherfucker, the Slayer's sitting right there. She could take out the entire Watcher's fucking council like a burp. Who the fuck are you? Because if I was her, which she does later on become, basically pimps the fucking council out, and so it's like, you fucking bitches work for me. She puts all of them out on the street and makes them make her money
with her mom. Yeah, he congratulates Buffy again, and she says, bite me.
Well, yeah, because before that she said, if I were you, I would get out
of
town before my powers come back.
Yeah. So Quentin leaves, and Giles starts to tend to Buffy's wounds, and we can see that things are going to be okay between those two.
Yeah, because she's realized that, I mean, she's hurt still probably by the whole thing, but
right.
I think she's realizing, everything he just sacrificed
for her
because he loves her.
Right. So we cut to
making out, and it gets really fucking.
Yeah. Then I was like, I'm not sure Quentin understands what a father's love for a child is.
Oh man!
Because what Giles and Buffy are doing right now is not that kind of love.
No, this is a very creepy kind of love that makes me uncomfortable. But I did watch it twice.
It's like, small side note, but kind of on topic. This is the exact reason why I always hated fan fiction.
Oh, I know. Fan fiction. There's good fan fiction out there, but by and large,
it's trash.
Yeah, it is trash, and they've always got to be like, but what if Cordelia was actually, I don't know, think of something utterly ridiculous, in love with Snyder.
Right.
And,
or like
she caressed his bald head as, know what I mean?
The Buffy Giles shippers. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
Or it used to be the Mythos Duncan,
right.
That they were secretly gay together.
But we both know it wasn't a secret.
No, it wasn't a secret at all. They, they were right on Front Street.
Right. You can't spell subtext without SEX.
Right. And Mythos, he's like, dude, I'm 5,000. I'm not hiding anything.
Right.
I swing every way that there is.
Right. He's like, if you think I haven't diddled some diddlers in my time. You are sadly mistaken, Mackie boy.
He's like men, women, sheep, whatever,
Donkeys.
whatever.
Right.
Toasters plugged in,
Toasters plugged in.
whatever.
Right. Chainsaws gassed up and running.
Doesn't get near the neck.
Right.
He's always down the clown. We know this.
Right. So we cut to the Summers house the next day, and everyone's discussing the events of the previous couple of days. Willow is just utterly flabbergasted that Giles has been fired and says she's going to write an angry letter. Buffy reassures her that Giles isn't going anywhere. He's still got a library to librarian after all.
Which I've never understood. As much as Snyder hates him, why hasn't he just fired him? Been like, you know what? You're fucking fired. Get the fuck out of my school.
Right.
Because then Giles be like, fuck, now I don't have that paycheck either.
Right.
Like, I can't even afford to live in this apartment anymore.
Right. He's got a dope ass apartment too.
It's like he's independently wealthy. It's so weird. Because later on, spoiler alert, he buys a magic shop. And like, it's like, wait, what? And it's, I don't know.
Right.
But it works.
Buffy reassures Willow that Giles isn't going anywhere. And she's eager to get her powers back. And she struggles to open a jar of peanut butter. Xander offers to help her out. And he struggles as well. And we fade out as he asks Willow for help opening the jar. And that is the end of our episode.
It is.
Jeremy.
James.
Would you like some monsterology?
No.
Good, because there is none this week.
I didn't think so.
Literally nothing. Because vampires. What more is there to say? Our body count this episode was 4. Our music, just our original score as composed by series composer Christoph Beck. And that, again, not really a lot going on these last 2 episodes, at least in other areas that we usually talk about. Pretty quick in those regards. No, Jeremy, no.
Yes.
You.
No.
Give me your final thoughts.
No, I always go first.
Yeah, and you're going to go first now, too. Give me your final thoughts.
Nope.
And your rating.
It's a 1.
Your rating. How many stodgy watchers do you give this episode?
It's a 5. Ladies and gentlemen, you know I'm stingy with my 5s. I have been since the beginning. This is obviously a 5. Come on. I mean, we've already talked about it ad nauseum, but I mean, the scene in this episode, that's what I'm going to refer to it as from now on. The scene.
Going forward, anytime either one of us
the episode could have been the biggest piece of shit that ever was written, and just that scene alone would probably make me give it a 5.
Going forward for the duration of the rest of Buffy and through the end of Angel, whenever we say the scene, that this is the scene it's going to be referring to.
That's right. And like this. There are going to be more scenes that are very powerful.
Yeah.
As we go on, but I mean,
are they more powerful than the scene? TBD.
But this is always going to be the scene.
I think going forward, the scene is the standard bearer for scenes of this ilk.
For sure, absolutely.
I
don't have much else to say. I mean, if you just watch this episode, you know what I mean? Like, and you have any taste at all, you'd be like, well, okay, this is a 5. That's, yeah. I mean, it introduced us to the Watchers Council, finally. We get this big reveal that Buffy's going to get a new Watcher, and fucking Giles has been sacked by the Watcher Council, and I mean it's there's a lot going on in this episode. It's a fucking 5 all day long. There's not much more to say. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. James.
Yes, sir.
How many nipple clamps do you give this episode? And give us your final thoughts.
This is a 2. No.
Yes.
No. This is a 5.
Yeah.
It's 5. We are 100% on the same page, the same paragraph, the same sentence, the same letter about this one. Literally, the rest of this episode could have been season 1 level.
The pack.
But it could have been the pack. The rest of this, yes, that is so good. The rest of this episode could have been the fucking pack. It could have been Bad Day at Building A, to reference another show we both love.
Yeah.
That scene, the scene, would have elevated this right up to a 5, regardless of what the rest of the episode was.
This could have been making us watch the entirety of season 6 of Highlander without a break, and then just play this scene, the scene, and it's still a 5.
Well, we have differing opinions about season 6 of Highlander, right? There's several episodes.
Hot trash.
There are several episodes I quite enjoy out of season 6.
There's like
Highlander, so
3 for me.
But anyway, this isn't a Highlander podcast, sadly.
It should be. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. There might be one coming in about 3 years.
Right. Don't say that. People are going to think we don't want to do the podcast we're doing. That's not true.
Fuck no. I definitely want to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Be doing it.
Yeah. This is a 5 all day long. The
must-see episode. It goes in the must-see pile.
Yeah, the writing is there, the acting is there. We talked about it while we were reviewing. Yeah, and like
was this He Who Must Not Be Named? Did he write this? No. Okay, I couldn't remember the deets at the beginning if he was the writer.
It was David Fury.
Okay, well, David Fury, fucking hats off to you, my friend. This was a hell of an episode.
Well, he does. I mean, he does become a pretty prominent name behind.
Is this his first?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say if this was his first, woo, did he
knock it out of the park?
Outkick the coverage on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like we said, not too long ago, that scene with Buffy and Giles, the reveal that he had been the one that took her strength.
Which I don't know about you, but I sensed it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Of how nonchalant and dismissive he was of her concerns.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's that scene potentially is the standard bearer for all similar scenes like that to come. Are there going to be more powerful scenes? Again, TBD. I think it depends on your perspective, characters involved, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I can think of one that's you could probably safely say is it'd be season 5 if that's any.
Yeah, you can tell me when we're done recording.
Yeah, okay.
What scene? But yeah, I think up until this point and this scene, you had the I don't want to die scene in season 1. Mm-hmm. You had Becoming, hell, fucking all of Becoming part 1 and part 2, like damn near, in my opinion. I mean, we rated that a 6.
Yep.
Like, I mean, we broke our own rating scale for that, and I have a feeling we're gonna break our rating scale again in the future.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I can think of at least 2 episodes off the top of my head.
Well, not just in that, but I'm also even and an Angel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we know one for sure in Buffy is going to break our
Right. Right.
a little song and dance number.
But this is just a great episode. Like you said, it goes on the list of must-see episodes. I'm definitely showing this to people to be like, hey, check this out.
If
I
this
think you're
doesn't
gonna
get
like
you,
this show.
then this show isn't for you.
Right.
No.
And it's 100%. If I'm flipping through channels and Buffy's on and it's this episode, I'm watching. And
Oh,
I'm probably disappointed if I missed even 2 minutes of it.
yeah, because
at the
there's no
beginning.
bad. There is no
Right.
bad in this episode.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So that's it. It's a 5 from me, and that's my final thoughts.
All right.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Ooh, maybe I will. James,
Yes, sir.
could you do me a favor?
I can.
Could you tell the fine folks listening to us right now how on earth they would be able to get a hold of us on this vast interweb?
Well, they could go to BuffyRevisited.com and they will find 3 links. One will be to our email, which is BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. They're more than welcome to email us there. Share their thoughts, concerns, feelings, anything they want. Nipple pictures, hairy butthole pictures, butthole and tongue pictures.
Man.
Whatever.
Glad you're the one. Shit.
They can reach out to us there. They will also find a link to our Facebook. If they go there, they will find numerous posts from us, obviously posts advertising the podcast itself. I do often post articles or about the Buffyverse or the actors and actresses therein. So they can go there. Of course, leave comments on any of those posts. We will see those. We will engage with those. Same thing on the YouTube. There'll be a link to our YouTube channel where, of course, if you would like to see and hear us, you can go there to do that. Leave comments on our YouTube videos. Again, we will engage with those comments. Facebook and YouTube alike, emails. We will address all of those here on the podcast as we have in the past, and we will address them off the podcast as well. Respond to emails and comments in the various formats. Please reach out to us. We do enjoy hearing from you. We like hearing your thoughts and opinions about the Buffyverse and the podcast in general. So yeah, send those our way.
Indeed. Thank you, James, for that information. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week. Next week, we will be jumping into Season 3, Episode 13, The Zeppo.
The Zeppo.
A clear reference to werewolves.
I think it's our weakest episode this season.
Yeah, it might be, but we'll find a way to spice it up.
We'll jazz it up. Jazz hands.
Jazzy. All right. I have been one of your hosts. I am Jeremy.
I'm your other host, Jimothy.
Ta-ta.